Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that came out on CNN. The five most addictive substances in the world. And every last one of them are being taken and abused here in America. This came out January 6th, 2018. I'm sorry, 2019. What year am I in, y'all? 2019. Gentile year. Okay, let's get into this. What are the most addictive drugs? This question seems simple, but the answer depends on whom you ask. From the points of views of different researchers, the potential for a drug to be addictive can be judged in terms of the harm it causes, the street value of the drug, the extent to which the drug activates the brain's dopamine system, how pleasurable people report the drug to be, the degree to which the drug causes withdrawal symptoms, and how easy a person tried the drug will become hooked. Okay. And we know, these drugs are already highly addictive, but man, when they throw fentanyl into the mix, they are even more addictive than you can even imagine. There are other facets to measure the addictive potential of a drug too. There are even researchers that argued that no drug is always addictive. Given the varied views of researchers, then one way of ranking addictive drugs is to ask expert panels. You don't have to go to no expert panels to measure the addictive, how addictive a drug is. You can get the same information from a junkie. They'll tell you. Number one, heroin. Heroin, considered the most addictive drug out on the streets today, given a score of 3 out of the maximum score of 3. Heroin is an opiate that causes the level of dopamine in the brain's reward system to increase by up to 200% in experimental animals. In addition to being arguably the most addictive drug, heroin is dangerous too because the dose that can cause death is only 5 times greater than the dose required for a high, snorted, injected, or smoked. It can affect the drug addictiveness. Heroin also has been rated as the second most harmful drug in terms of damage to both users and to society. The market for illegal opiates, including heroin, was estimated to be $68 billion worldwide in 2009. Cocaine. Oh, man. Cocaine directly interferes with the brain's use of dopamine to convey messages from one neuron to another. In essence, cocaine prevents neurons from turning the dopamine signal off, resulting in an abnormal activation of the brain's reward pathways. In experiments on animals, cocaine caused dopamine levels to rise more than 3 times the normal level. It's estimated between 14 million and 20 million people worldwide use cocaine, and that in 2009, the cocaine market was worth about $75 billion. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Crack cocaine has ranked by experts as being the third most damaging drug, and powdered cocaine, which causes a milder high, as the fifth most damaging. About 21% of people who try cocaine will become dependent on it at some time in their life. Cocaine is similar to other addictive stimulants, such as methamphetamines, which is becoming more of a problem as it becomes more widely available, and amphetamines. Nicotine. Nicotine is the main addictive ingredient of tobacco. When somebody smokes a cigarette, nicotine is rapidly absorbed by the lungs and delivered to the brain. And see, this is why they added it to cigarettes, because they knew if they did, ladies and gentlemen, the market for cigarettes would explode. And that's exactly what happened. When I was coming up, there were a lot of people smoking. I don't see quite as many people smoking today as I did back in the day, but back in the day, you always knew someone or had people in your family that were smoking. And the nicotine ensured that they would always have a market of people buying the cigarettes over and over. And that's exactly what happened. More than two-thirds of Americans who tried smoking reported becoming dependent during their life. In 2002, WHO estimated there were more than 1 billion smokers, and it has been estimated that tobacco will kill more than 8 million people annually by 2030. Laboratory animals have a good sense not to smoke. Yeah. And that is true. I remember when I was in the lab, I used to be an IT technician before I became a manager, and I used to always go over. I used to work at Bristol Myers Squibb back in the day, and I used to have to go to the lab where the animals were. And that's true. Not that many of them smoked. Most of the animals don't care for smoking. They may get a few of the monkeys in there to smoke, but the vast majority of them didn't like the smell of the smoke. They wouldn't smoke even when they tried to hand them a cigarette. It may have been a few of them that would smoke, but the rest of them wouldn't. They didn't like it. They didn't like the smell. So that's amazing how even an animal can have a sense of, no, that can't be good, and I want to do, even they can sense it. However, rats will press a button to receive nicotine directly to their bloodstream. And this caused dopamine levels in the brain's reward to rise by 25 to 40%. Wow. Barbiturates, downers. Barbiturates are known as blue bullets, gorillas, nimbies, barbs, and pink ladies are a class of drugs that were initially used to treat anxiety and to induce sleep. They interfere with the chemical signaling in the brain, the effect of which is to shut down various brain regions. At low doses, barbiturates cause euphoria, but a higher dose, they can be lethal because they suppress breathing. Barbiturate dependence was common when drugs were easily available by prescription, but this has declined drastically as other drugs have replaced them. This highlights the role that the context play in addiction. If an addictive drug is not widely available, it can do little harm. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so barbiturates are the fourth most addictive substance. Alcohol. Alcohol, legal in the US and UK, alcohol was scored. Um, so it does affect the brain, and if you've been drunk a time or two in your life, you know exactly what alcohol can do and the effects that it has on a human body. Alcohol has many effects on the brain, but in laboratory experiments on animals, it increased dopamine levels in the brain's reward system by 40 to 360%. And the more the animal drank, the more dopamine levels increase. Some 22% of people who have been taken a drink will develop dependence on alcohol at some point during their life. The WHO has estimated that 2 billion people use alcohol in 2002, and more than 3 million people died in 2012 due to damage to the body caused by drinking. And alcohol has been ranked the most damaging drug by experts too. Now, my grandfather on my mother's side was actually an alcoholic. So, alcoholism is something that has existed in my own family. My grandfather was an alcoholic. But, ladies and gentlemen, tell me what you think about this list. But I tell you one thing, I think fentanyl should be on this list, and it was completely left off. But you tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.